Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. I'm not anywhere today. I just want to give you guys a few updates. So I know yesterday you guys were messaging me. A lot of you guys were messaging me saying that Google Classroom wasn't working. You weren't able to upload your files, or the files were not found. I let Mrs. Mendez know, and I spoke to your other teachers. And I guess this is not just a problem you're having with my class, but you're having with other classes. Even myself, when I tried to get the files on my phone, it wasn't working. But when I went onto my laptop, it was working. So thank you for messaging me. Bear with us. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. Mrs. Mendez is gonna reach out to the tech people to see what's going on with that. Um, but I appreciate you guys messaging me because at least you're still on task and you're still doing what you need to do. Secondly, I know that we were scheduled to come back on April 1st, but that is getting postponed. So we just got word right now, maybe like an hour ago, that we are going to be out of school until at least April 20th is when we'll return. So after spring break. That's what they have in store for us right now, but we'll see what's going on because we have to still follow along with what California is telling us to do and what LA is doing. So a few more weeks of this, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go back to school. So yesterday we talked about this ruler called Darius the First and how he rose to power and expanded and pretty much made the Persian Empire a lot stronger. Um, Darius the First, he had a lot of ideas as political leader, and he fought really hard to become the leader. So when he got to power, he wanted to make things better for the Persian Empire. One thing that he did was he divided the empire into 20 different provinces or 20 different regions, and he appointed these different leaders to rule and oversee these areas. In these areas, the people were in charge of collecting taxes, making sure there was no rebellions, and make sure everything was safe and report back to Darius. But Darius made it very clear that you guys are not rulers, you guys are working for me, because don't get any ideas. The second thing that he did was Darius, he wanted to beautify the city and make improvements. So one thing that he did was he started to build roads, and these roads connected all different cities of Persia together, and it made it a lot easier for them to travel, send messages, and just brought everyone together, connected everybody with the roads. Just think about a world with no roads, a lot of things wouldn't be connected, and it would be very hard to get from point A to point B. The next thing that he did was he created a new capital city called Persepolis. And when he created this city called Persepolis, what he did was he wanted to beautify it. So he made these huge carvings. He put up monuments. He paved the walls with gold and silver. Everything was shimmery and shiny. And he just wanted to make the city beautiful and let people know that this was the capital city and that the Persian Empire was strong and wealthy. Um, the last thing that he did was he created this new religion, and it's gonna be hard for me to say it again. It was called Zoroastrianism, and pretty much what he was he thought that there was a good force and a bad force, and that he decided that we should go ahead and be more good. We should side with the good because the good will take down the evil, and good will always prevail, just like in Star Wars. Okay. Today, what we're going to do. Oh, and then he also started to expand the empire, but a problem hit, and which we're going to talk about today. So today we're going to talk about these things called the Persian Wars. I really enjoy the Persian Wars because it's really exciting. They have the movie The 300 about it. It's a great story. It's a great history thing to talk about, and hopefully you guys enjoy it because it's really cool. And like I said, if you haven't watched 300 yet, watch 300 after this lesson, and everything will make sense to you. All right, so let's get to the lesson. But first, we have to review. So number one, how did Darius the First change Persia's political organization? Remember what he did was he divided the whole empire into 20 different provinces, and then he appointed somebody to watch and oversee these provinces. These overseers were not rulers, they were just people that worked for Darius, and what they were doing was they made sure everything was in order, collected taxes, and made sure that there was no rebellions going on and reported back to Darius. This was kind of like his security guards, just letting him know what was going on. Number two, how did Persia's road help improve the empire's organization? So these roads, it connected everyone together. And with this connection, people were able to pass messages faster. They were able to travel from city to city faster. And it's just, people felt connected. Just think about like the internet, how it connects everybody. We can get connected around the whole world and how it's fast. Same thing with these roads. And number three, how did Darius the First make the Persian Empire stronger? One thing that he did was how he made it stronger was the army. He kept building the army. The army was always going to be one of the things that were able to conquer everybody. Another thing that he made the Persian Empire stronger was by creating these 20 provinces. Now that he had people watching over different lands and different territory, he knew exactly what was going on throughout his whole empire. The second thing that he did was he created these roads, and these roads made the empire strong because now they can travel from point A to point B a lot faster. And pretty much just having a strong leader also made the Persian Empire stronger. So this is how Darius made the empire stronger. Today we're going to talk about the Persian Wars, so let's go ahead and get to it. So today what you guys are going to be able to do is you guys are going to be able to describe the different battles that were fought in Greece between the Persians, which were known as the Persian Wars. So today we're going to talk about the Persian Wars. So what was going on in 499 BC? A lot of these Greek cities in Asia Minor, they started to rebel against the Persian Empire. And even though they weren't in Greece, they were still Greeks. And what they were doing was they were tired of this Persian Empire and they started to rebel. Remember, rebellions weren't really common because of the way the Persians were treating the people they conquered. But this just so happened to be that these Greeks were kind of tired of what the Persians were doing. And since they were Greek, a lot of these people from actually Greek, the city states and these little villages from Greece decided, you know what, let's go ahead and go help out our fellow Greece or Greeks, and let's go help and take down the Persian rule. And that's exactly what they did. So what was going on was these city states were sending people over to the Persian Empire, and they were starting to fight. Darius was extremely angry with the Greeks, even though Darius defeated them, and Darius wanted some payback because he wanted to send a message saying that the Greeks should never have helped everybody else, and he swore revenge against the Greeks. The three pictures to the right, these are going to be the three battles that we're going to talk about. So the first one, you guys are very familiar because remember, we're very in tune with what's going on with Greek and how we use it to this day. So we'll go ahead and talk about that one. And the first battle is called the Battle of Marathon. So 9 years after the Greek city started to rebel against Darius, Darius decided, I'm going to go ahead and invade Greece and get my revenge. And this is the beginning of the Persian Wars. So the Persian Wars were a series of wars between Persia and Greece, and this was the first war or the first battle in these Persian Wars called the Battle of Marathon. Marathon sounds very familiar, and you guys are going to see why it is right now. So when the Persians arrived in Greece, they were actually outnumbered the Greeks. And they just came and they came in full on force and they wanted to take down the Greeks and get revenge for their loved leader Darius. But unfortunately, the Greeks were ready and they were prepared. The Greeks actually had better weapons and they had clever leaders. They had these plans and ideas that would trick the Persians and would allow them to win. So what happened was when they arrived, to Greece, they thought they were going to win, but the Greeks actually beat them. And when they beat them, everyone was so excited that this messenger from Greece, he actually ran from Marathon all the way back to Athens, which is about 26 miles, which is the length of a marathon, to relay the good news of the great victory. And the whole time he was running, nonstop running, he was shouting, "Rejoice, rejoice, we have defeated the Persians." So this fun fact was that this is how we got marathon. This is how we got the word marathon, and this is how we got the distance of a marathon. Since the city of Marathon was 26 miles to Athens, that's what a marathon is. So nowadays, we had just had the LA Marathon a few weeks ago, and the marathon is 26 miles. So if you're wondering where it came from this battle where the Greeks, the first battle of the Persian Wars, where the Greeks defeated the Persians. So this is a famous battle, and this is pretty much the whole movie of 300. So 10 years later, Darius, he's no longer there, but his son Xerxes comes into power, and Xerxes wanted to avenge and still continue what his dad wanted to do, which was conquer Greece and get revenge for them rebelling against the Persians. So what they did was they decided, we are going to go ahead and now not only bring in an army, but we're also going to bring in our navy. So the Persians brought their army and they brought their navy. This time, these city-states or these groups of people called the Spartans from Greece decided that they were going to go ahead and fight against the Persians at this time. So the Spartans, they were really known for their military tactics, for being brave, for being strong warriors, and they were pretty much the Spartans. We're gonna get into this next, but the Spartans were born and raised to fight. They were born warriors. When they came out the womb, they were warriors. So they were so dedicated to becoming warriors that even babies, if you were born as a baby and you did not look like a warrior or you looked weak, they would pretty much just go ahead and kill you right then from the start, and because they thought that you weren't worthy. So even as babies, this is how tough they were and this is how serious they took the battle. So the Spartans, what they wanted to do was they wanted to go ahead and defend Athens because they knew that the Persians were going to go and attack Athens. So what the Spartans were doing was they wanted to go ahead and pretty much cause a delay or kind of delay the fight off the Persians before they got to the city of Athens. So if you see the picture on the left, that's this little narrow mountain pass. That's an actual picture. And this is the mountain pass, and it's called Thermopylae. And this is where this battle took place. So the Spartans knew that the only way to get to the city of Athens was through this pass. And so what they did was they decided that we're going to go ahead and block this pass. And when we block this pass, the Persians are going to have to come through us before they get to Athens, and we can get Athens to evacuate or they can get prepared for this battle. So this battles went on for a really long time, and the Spartans did really well. They were outnumbered by thousands, but like I said, they were really strong and they had clever leaders. So they're doing all these different tactics, and they were able to hold off the Persians in a lot of the beginning battles. Unfortunately, one of the Spartans decided to be a traitor, and this traitor decided to go to the Persians and go to Xerxes and tell him, "I know the secret way. We can go around the pass. You can attack them from the back, and then you can make your way into Athens." As soon as the Persians found out about this traitor and found out about their strategy, they did exactly that. They went around the Thermopylae Pass. They came from behind the Spartans and they attacked them from behind. One thing about the Spartans, though, even though they're outnumbered and even though they're about to lose, they fought to the death, and they fought because they fought with pride and with honor. This showed a lot of courage from the Spartans. Soon after, the Persians actually defeated and won this battle, and when they got to the city of Athens, they actually burned the whole city down. But it wasn't out with a good fight, and the Persians did lose a lot of men to these tough and rough Spartans. So, although the Persians won the battle at Thermopylae Pass, the Greeks quickly regained the upper hand on these Persians. Just a few days after Athens was burned, the Athens defeated the Persian navy using this clever plan that I was telling you about, that they were clever. So, what they did was, as you can see in this picture, remember the Greeks were expert sailors, and so were the Persians, but the Greeks were the masters of sailing, and they knew the whole territory. They had home court advantage, and the Persians didn't really know what they were doing. So what the Greeks did was they actually um, used, they had this little clever plan where the Greek navy was going to go ahead and pretty much guide the Persians into this narrow area called Salamis. And literally they know that it looks like it's a wide open thing, but remember, Greece is a peninsula. So there's water surrounding different parts, and there's a bunch of these little finger-like peninsulas. So what the Greeks did was they sent them down this one little area, kind of like a cul-de-sac or this dead end of water, and they trapped these naval ships. And one thing about the Greek ships was that they were smaller and they were faster. They were able to move around quickly. And the Persians, since they were trying to bring over and intimidate everybody with large amounts of people, they brought over huge ships. And with these huge ships, it was really hard for them to navigate, turn, and do all this stuff. So eventually, when the Greeks trapped these larger naval ships, soldiers from all over Greece were able to defeat the Persians, and they were trapping them, and they took them out. And what they were doing was, these Persians had these huge ships, and the Greeks had these small ships, and these small ships, pretty much what they were doing was they were ramming into these big ships. They were doing like a hit and run attack on them, which pretty much eventually led them to the end of, led the Persians to defeat. So, although that the Persians lost this war, the Persians were embarrassed because they were such a huge and strong and powerful empire, but they weren't sad or anything. They were still powerful, like I was saying. So this battle was just like, yeah, we lost the battle to the Greeks, but hey, we're still powerful. But to the Greeks were super excited, and this was a victory of their life because pretty much since they defeated these Persians, they saved their whole city. After this, the Persians really never messed with the Greeks because the Greeks were fighting back, and they showed that the Greeks, although they were small and they didn't have a lot of people, they were still tough and they were going to be hard to defeat. So as a quick review today, we talked about how some of these Greek cities in Asia started to rebel against the Persian Empire and Darius. When Darius found this out, he wanted to shut them down and go to war and prove that you should not mess with the Persian Empire. The first battle we talked about was the Battle of Marathon. In the Battle of Marathon, short story, Persians attacked, and the Greeks actually won because they were clever and they had strong, powerful weapons. Because of this, a messenger ran from Marathon all the way to Athens, which is about 26 miles, and this is how we got the term or the race called the Marathon because of this battle. The second battle was 10 years later. Xerxes, Darius' son, took the throne and still wanted to go ahead and get revenge for the deaths. This time, the Spartans, the tough and brutal warriors of Greece, decided to step up. They decided that we're going to go ahead and defend this pass, the Thermopylae Pass, because this is the pass that the Persians are going to take to get to Athens. Persia sent over everybody. They sent over an army. They sent over a navy. The Spartans were really tough, though. They held their ground. They were able to fight and defeat some of the Persians in the first battles. But unfortunately, a traitor came, and a traitor just told them, like, if you go around the back, you can attack the Spartans and destroy the Spartans. Once you destroy the Spartans, then you can go to the city of Athens. That's exactly what the Persians did. They went around the pass, killed the Spartans, marched on to Athens, and burned down the whole city of Athens. Meanwhile, the Persians sent over more people during this battle as Salamis. And at Salamis, what the Greeks did, since they're expert sailors and they knew the land and they knew the traps and where to lead them, they led these huge Persian ships into a dead end where they could not go anywhere. Once they led them into this little dead end area, the Persian ships went around and they were ramming them and pretty much trapped them and defeated the Persians there. Although the Persians lost the Persian Wars, they were really embarrassed, but they still had a really strong empire, which that's what they really cared about. On the other hand, the Greeks were extremely happy, extremely excited because these defeats actually saved their city. Now they no longer had to worry about the Persians coming to invade them. Okay? So for homework, I want you guys to answer this. Number 1, why did Darius and Xerxes want to conquer Greece? Number 2, what were the names of the 3 battles in Persia's second invasion of Greece? So the second invasion was, what were the 3 battles called? And you can describe them. Number 3, how might the Persian Wars have ended if the Spartans had not slowed the Persians at Thermopylae? So what would have happened if the Spartans never slowed the Persians down at Thermopylae? This is your homework question. These are your homework questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and message me or anything like that. Really quick, I just wanted to give you another hint for number 3. Don't forget that the Spartans were used as a decoy to kind of slow the Persians down to get the Athenians out of the city. So what might have happened if the Spartans did not slow the Persians down? So this is the lesson for today. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment or send me a message through Google Classroom, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. If not, I'll see you guys all tomorrow.